Okay, so as you can see, the T-Rex ends up being the final boss of all of this, and it can be a pretty challenging fight, which is why it's a really good idea just to get geared up with pretty much everything you can. But starting off, he does have a few weak points that you need to focus on, one being the eyes, and then occasionally he will get some glowing spots on his like ribs or sides that you can shoot, so make sure that you focus on that when that happens, as you can put out a lot of damage by focusing on that. He'll also spew out these toxic areas throughout the map too. They do damage you, however, the more impactful thing I think is that it slows you down and you can't sprint or slide through them, so try and avoid those at all costs, as mobility does become really important in the later phases. Once a phase is done, he'll jump up into the top of the cliff, and then you'll have to go through a phase where you have to fight through waves of zombies, and that is a good opportunity to run around and pick up some ammo drops as well as armor drops as well. Phase 2 will be pretty similar, however things might get a little bit more aggressive. As you see, he does one of his jump attacks there. This is where things like PhD Slider really come in handy to increase mobility and keep your distance from him, and utilize the rocks as much as possible too to sort of corner around them and break up any direct lines he has to you. Also, make use of your equipment. If you notice, I just threw a decoy grenade there. I just felt a little bit uncomfortable and helped me thin out the numbers a little bit. Here is phase 2 complete, as he again jumps back to the top of the cliff. Similar thing here. Try and recoup as much as you can as you fight off waves of zombies, looking for ammo. I stopped by and just bought some more, and then I just kind of run around hunting for more armor plates. Phase 3 is where things can really start to get serious, and if you're not careful, you'll just suddenly be dead from one of his attacks, as he can pretty much just one-shot you, as I mentioned. Fortunately, I didn't have to use my self-revive in this attempt, but you also have that. And here's an example from another attempt that I did where I did go down. And as you can see, especially if you have the augment that increases the time in last stand, you can just kind of stay there and use your Mark II to put out damage. So you can kind of utilize that to get in some additional free damage, as you're essentially invulnerable. So hold off on the revive for as long as you can to utilize that. Back to the original fight. So this is where I start getting a little nervous and panicky. So this is where I use my first Ether Shroud, as I got hit from the back and I didn't really know what was going on. And that was enough to take me into the final phase of the fight. So now I'm just basically waiting for him to come back down. And once I see him on the ground, that's when I pop my chopper gunner. This was actually the first time I had used the chopper gunner in this fight, and I honestly thought it was going to be enough to get through the entire phase. And it ended up doing quite a bit of damage, but it didn't deplete his health fully. Had I known that, I probably would have waited a little bit longer to pop that chopper gunner. But anyways, I get through that, and at that point, I just try my best to survive and whittle down the rest of his health with my weapons. And you want to do that as quickly as possible in this phase, as you'll notice that there are some additional enemies that start joining the party, including things like parasites and even doppelgas. So there you have it. That is the Shattered Veil Easter egg quest complete as a solo player in Black Ops 6 Zombies. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.